So in order to properly visualize the story, you have to put into your mind the fact that I dress like this all the time. And that's a weird flex, I know, but stay with me. For those of you listening at home, I am wearing a suit. Thank you. I didn't hear what you said, but thank you. So, in addition to that, please also keep in mind that I love Disneyland. I grew up here in Los Angeles, and like many, native Angelinos, I went to Disneyland 100 million times a year. My mom would call into school and say that I was sick, and we would both go together. It was really nice. It was really special. Those are good memories. And I went a lot in college because I went to school in San Diego, so I would just, stop there and wait out the traffic. I know. And as an adult, it's even easier because now it's just like getting an annual pass is like taking out a credit card. You just pay it off every month, and you can go whenever you want. 5 years ago, I was there. I was dressed like this. I was wearing my little button that says Spencer. It looks a lot like a cast member button, but it's not. I got it on Etsy. But Disneyland is all about pins and buttons and badges and, wearing your flair. And so I was just wearing that. I was there by myself because I like the people watching. I like the holiday decorations around this time of year. And throughout most of the day, people would stop me and ask, where's the bathroom? Where's this ride? When's the parade starting? Since I practically grew up there, I knew all the answers to those questions. I didn't lie. I didn't say that I worked there, but I'd tell them the truth if they asked. But I would say, oh yes, it's right over there. It's over there. It's going to be at 7:30. Enjoy. I saw a family of 5 across Town Square in Main Street, and they were all wearing buttons. You get buttons if you are going there for your very first time, and they all had first time at Disneyland buttons. And I was like, oh boy, I get to welcome them to Disneyland. They saw me, they made a beeline for me, and before I could say anything, I saw the dad had just this panic-stricken look on his face, and his son, who was like waist high, was just clutching around the middle of his dad, just barely hanging on. His face was completely drained of color. It looked like he'd just been throwing up in a trash can, and he was. His dad told me, my son is so sick, where is first aid? Now, in all the years that I had been to Disneyland, I had no idea where first aid was. This was not obviously the time to say, I'm sorry, I don't work here, this is a button. So I waved over a cast member that was standing by the food cart, and I said, this family needs medical attention, could you show them where first aid is? And she said, yes, sir. And she grabbed the family and hustled them off down Main Street. I realized in that moment that 5 years ago, people didn't really call me sir. I'm old now, I'm in my 30s. But they didn't call me sir unless there was a reason, and because I was dressed like this, and because I looked like I belonged, and because I was telling people where things were. I looked like a manager, and so I realized I could get away with so much now. I could do all the things that I've wanted to do at Disneyland because now I look like a goddamn manager. I don't just have to tell people where the bathrooms are, I can tell other people to tell them where the bathrooms are. So I ran around the park trying to find families with those buttons on. You can get birthday buttons, you can get anniversary buttons, and the cast members will say happy birthday, happy anniversary, and if they're really nice, if they're in a good mood, they'll do things for you. And I was that guy now. I went up to a family of like 7. They all had matching t-shirts, and the littlest one was a cute girl in pigtails, and she was wearing mini ears, and she had a happy birthday button on, and I said, how old are you, princess? And she said, I'm 6. And I said, what ride do you want to go on the most? And she said, Small World. And all of her family went, because it was an hour and 45-minute wait. And I said, no, come with me. And I took the entire family through the exit of It's a Small World, which is what they do for VIPs. And I brought them right up to where the boats are, and I said to the cast member, it's this young lady's birthday. Can we get their family in the very next boat, please? And the cast member, who, is like a teenager and just saw a guy in a suit tell them to do something, went, oh, sure, get in the boat. And I did that for hours. I went around finding all these families, and it was on Big Thunder Mountain and the Matterhorn, and that ride, the Cars ride that always has the 3-hour wait. And sometimes I went on the ride with them, and it was so nice. And my very favorite part, as it went on, was seeing the faces of the people who had been waiting in line, standing there, see these people come from out of nowhere and get on the ride ahead of them, and just, what the fuck, as they watched them go away. So I realized that I could get away with anything, so I started also to act on all of the pet peeves that I have about Disneyland. Like, you know, when you're at a place that's family friendly, there are those families that stand 5, 6 people across with their big double wide strollers and just block the entire fucking thing like a bunch of assholes. And so I would go up in front of them and get their attention and be like, my friends, I would love to help you plan the rest of your day and figure out where you want to go next. But in order to do that, we need to move your whole party over to the side of the road so that the traffic can come through. And I became the traffic control warden for Disneyland. Traffic control there is run like a Swiss watch, so I was standing on top of planters and on light posts just, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't have a seat saved from the parade, please come this way. We have to keep traffic moving. There cannot be gridlock in Disneyland, I was shouting. And it worked. People listened to just lunatics in suits shouting. So, all of this was going on. I was able to watch the entirety of Fantasmic standing right at the edge of Rivers of America because I was pretending to do crowd control. It was like, yeah, keep it, just sit down so other people can see. And so, and then cast members would start to, treat me like a manager, and I was way too deep into this role, so I was like, yeah, okay, I'm your manager, cool. So how long have you been working at Disneyland? Are you enjoying your job? Are you having a good time? Is there anything that I can, help talk to the executives about to improve for you? And before I knew it, I was having this conversation with one cast member, and we had walked through a cast members only door into backstage. Oh my God, I got to see backstage. I was so excited. I'd always wanted to and never could. And I was picturing like Mickey Mouse is gonna be there with his head under his arm, smoking a cigarette and talking to Snow White, and she would be eating Doritos, and there would be like workmen carrying wooden ladders over their shoulders, holding big buckets of paint that said Montreal Red on them. I was expecting like a movie studio from the 1930s, but there wasn't anything like that. Backstage at Disneyland is so boring. It looks like any other office anywhere in the world. It's just beige walls and linoleum floors and fluorescent lighting and vending machines. It was terrible, and I was so sad. But I still had to keep up this character of the manager, so I was walking everywhere like I belonged. Here, yes, hello, all right, yeah, good. I realized that I couldn't just wander around there forever. So I asked myself, what is the one place that I've always wanted to go to in Disneyland but never could? And now that I have this secret power, I can now. How many of you have heard of Club 33? If you don't know, it is an incredibly expensive, very exclusive, membership-only restaurant and bar above the streets of New Orleans Square. It is so nice on the inside. I've only seen pictures. And the only way you can get in is to be rich and famous because it costs $30,000 a year to be a member there. And the waiting list is so long, you have to wait for people to die to be given the opportunity to pay $30,000 a year. But this time, I knew I could do it. I knew that it shared a kitchen. That restaurant shares a kitchen with the Blue Bayou restaurant, which is the restaurant for normal people on the first floor. If I could just get to that kitchen and go up a flight of stairs, I would be in there. I knew it. So I wound my way over in that direction, and I found the door to the kitchen, and I opened it up, and there's a great big blast of steam. It fogged up my glasses, and I felt a tap on my shoulder. And there was a guy standing there wearing a suit, little cast member button, a real one, and he said, "Can I help you, sir?" And it wasn't the kind of sir that I heard earlier in the afternoon. This wasn't a sir that you give to somebody you work for. It's a sir that you give to somebody who is fucking up in front of you and you don't want to cause a scene. And I was still on my power trip, so I was like, "No, I'm good, thanks." And I turned around and he tapped his hand on my shoulder again and he said, "Can I see your badge, sir?" And I thought he meant this one, so I started to take it off, and he was like, "No." I realized as I was taking it off that he obviously didn't mean this one. He meant, a security badge they give you when they hire you with a magnetic stripe and your picture and your name on it. I very quickly thought up a great excuse for why I didn't have it on me in my manager character. I said, and that was the magic word. He took me away. He said, "Please come with me." He took me to another part of backstage and sat me down in a conference room, just big long table, bunch of chairs, stains on the chairs. It is so unglamorous. It is so not Disneyland magic. And another guy comes in, guy wearing a suit, cast member badge, and he says, "So, I've been hearing all day long from other cast members that there is a lunatic wearing a suit and a fake badge wandering around the park, forcing families to cut in front of the lines and yelling at the crowds. Is that you?" And I immediately burst into tears. "Yes, I'm really sorry. I just want to have fun. I want to have fun. I just didn't think anything bad was happening." And of course, I was causing havoc and throwing off the timing of all the rides and making guests upset and really inconveniencing a lot of other cast members there. He explained all this, and then he handed me a piece of paper that was essentially a confessional, like, "Please look this over and sign this." And he said, "The Anaheim police will be by shortly to escort you from the park premises to your car. Listen, I have to do this." He said the word "I have to." He asked if I had an annual pass, and I did. I gave it to him. He took it from me, and he said, "I'm going to have to revoke your pass for the remainder of the year. You are still going to have to pay it, $58 for 10 more months, $58 a month for 10 more months. And if you try to buy a ticket or a pass to the park in the next 5 years, we will escort you from the property again. And if you try it a second time, it will be 10 years. And if you try it a third time, it will be a lifetime ban from the park." I realized in that moment that I was sitting actually in a place that I had heard of and I had always been curious about, not just backstage, but there is a legendary Disney jail where they take all of the pickpockets and all of the shoplifters and all the people who pick fights and all the people who get intoxicated. I was no better than any of these other miscreants because I was impersonating a cast member. And the entire thing came crashing down around me. All the magic of Disneyland was gone because backstage was like any other office and for everybody else was like every other job. And you can't make the magic yourself. You have to use their magic. If you try to do it yourself, you will fuck it up. So everything was completely ruined. The magic of the park, the magic of backstage, and even the magic of Disneyland jail. So the 5-year statute of limitations ran out last month. I haven't renewed a pass. I haven't gotten a new ticket. I don't think I will. But if you do know anybody who is a member of Club 33, please do let me know. Thank you very much.
Spencer Howard, ladies and gentlemen.